Good morning. So today's lecture is about uh, a review of arrays, structures, and pointers, which in C programming, which you have already done in your second semester. So let's begin with arrays. Arrays is defined as a collection of similar data elements. So usually you can group elements of similar data type under one name, and you can access them in sequential or in any order by using an index variable or by its position, something like a list ADT, which we have seen in the first lecture. So as an example, you see here array in C programming, and array A is defined like this, int A5. So it will be creating an array with name A with 5 elements. This will be the 0th element. This will be element 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in memory, it will be reserving 5 positions for 5 integers. So let's assume that each integer is going to take 2 bytes. Then it will be reserving a total of 10 bytes. You can access elements like this: a of 0 equal to 27. So in the first position, element 27 will be inserted. A of 0 equal to 10 means it will be rewritten as 10, or a of 1. If it is a of 1 equal to 10, then it will be written in the first position. So it will be like this. So this is how a memory in a computer will look like. Memory will be divided into 3 sections. In a programmer's or a programming language's point of view, memory is divided into 3 sections: a code section, a heap section, and a stack section. Code, heap, and stack section. This is the place where your program resides. Here you will the program which may be containing the functions like main function. So it will be having a main function, then all the program codes. This is the place where you can keep all your variables, data, etc. And this is also for keeping your stack and heap are used for keeping your variables and data. Both are having its own differences. Stack will be growing from here, from the higher, heap will be from the opposite. So the section which is directly accessible to the program code or from the code section is the stack section. We will see in detail. So let's say you have defined something like this: int main. You are starting. You have written a program in main function. You define int a5, which will create an array of 5 elements. It will be created here. Some 5 elements: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this will be your A in the stack section. Similarly, if you create a B5, this in the stack section again, it will be creating 5 elements which can be accessed with the name B. The difference is that it will be having values also. So the first position you will have value 2, the second position you will have value 4, and so on. So what I'm trying to say is, you create a static variable like this, it will be inserted or it will be placed in the stack section of your memory. Then once if it is written like this, you can access it using a for loop. Create a variable, index variable int I, and for I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, printf percentage t b of I means you will get when I equal to 0 you will get this element, when I equal to 1 you will get the second element, third element, fourth element, and the fifth element, and so on. So that's how you create an array. Let's try this in as a program. Here I am using an editor, namely Genie. So I'll write the main function int main, then int a5. It will create array A with 5 elements, int b5 equal to 2, 4, 3, 5, 7, and 5, and a for loop for I equal to 0, I less than 5, plus plus. You write a printf statement. Beautiful. Better to write a return statement also. Return 0. You save, compile, and run this program. With that warning, it was not running. That's the issue. File not executed because the terminal may contain some input. Press Ctrl C or Enter to clear it. Yeah, this was the output. So what I'm trying to say is this: this is how we declare an array, and this is how we access each element. You know that these things you already know. So this is just a review of what you have seen for. So that's all about arrays for the time being. We'll see more about arrays while we discuss about the binomial representation and the sparse matrix representation, etc. Next, we'll look into structures, which we normally are going to use in many places in our lectures, in our while coding data structures. So structures are collection of related data members under one name, and these data members can be similar or dissimilar, and usually it is dissimilar data type. So structures are used for defining user-defined data type. So, or as you know, in programming language there is primitive data types like integer, floating point, double, etc. So the primitive data types will be available, but if you would like to create a data type of your own user-defined data type, you will have to use structures. So you can group some of the primitive data types, and or even the other user-defined data types also. You group all these things under one name and or that are related data members, and once that it is a structure. Throughout this, we are going to define a structure. We will see how much size it is going to take, how you declare a structure, how you access the different elements or different members of a structure. All things we'll see. Okay, and let's take the example of a rectangle. A rectangle has got two components, a length component and a breadth component. Okay, so in some programming, while programming some particular thing, you require, let's assume that you require rectangle as a data type, which is not available in your as a primitive data type. So what you do is we create a new data type, user defined by using struct rectangle. For the sake of simplicity, we take both length and breadth as integers, so int length and int breadth. Well, that's it. That's how you create a structure. Now the struct rectangle is created, and this length integer is going to take 2 bytes, and breadth also is going to take 2 bytes. So a rectangle structure in total it is going to take 4 bytes. But if you define this, it is not going to take any space. It is just a definition. Once you do a declaration in your main program, main function, you declare something like this, struct rectangle R1, then it is going to create a place here in the stack memory with 2 bytes. The first one is length and the second one will be for your breadth. So in that place, it is going to consume 4 bytes of memory. You can do it like this also, struct rectangle R2 equal to 10, 15 means that it is going to declare initialize. So this is just a declaration. This is declaration plus initialization. You access the members of a structure like this using the dot operator. R2 dot length equal to 15, R2 dot breadth equal to 15. So if this is R2, initially it was 10 and the breadth was 15. Now you change it, then in the stack section it will be changed. You access the elements, you can access the elements in like this area of rectangle is R2 dot length into R2 dot breadth. So that's how you create structure and the structure definition. This is the structure definition. In our programming scenarios, we are normally going to use this structure in many places. So the structure will be defined, that structure will be used. This structure, this is how we declare a structure variable. So R1 is a variable of rectangle type. That's how we define it. So see that all these type of variables are going to fit into your stack section only, not into the heap section. And in the code section, your main program or this program is available. And in the stack section, you have all variables R1, R2, etc. And the code section, you have direct access to the stack section of your memory. So from the code section, you can you just say R2, it can access it. Few other example structures that you might have come across this example, complex numbers. Complex numbers are something like this, a plus ib, real part and imaginary part. There are two values. You can define a complex structure like this in real and imaginary, so that you can utilize this structure for your complex number representation or any other complex number calculation. So this is another example structure, as structure 2. You can group similar, related data items like this. Student will be having roll number and integer value and name with 20 characters, department 10 characters, address 50 characters, So you say how much data, how much size this is going to take. This is going to take 2 bytes. This is going to take 20 bytes. This is going to take 10 bytes. So 50 plus 20 plus 10 plus 2, it is 82 bytes. You can create or can declare a student variable like this, student yes, and you can access the variable, the members of the structure like this, s dot roll number. So structure, and this is how you would define a structure. This is how you would declare a variable of that type, and this is how you access it, and this is how you calculate or how much size your structure is to take or consume in memory. So we are always looking towards while writing a program, we will be always looking at how much time it is going to take for execution and how much space it is going to take in memory. So we'll be considering the time complexity and space complexity of each of our programs. Another example is of cards. Playing card will be having a type face, then shape and color. This will be take values from 1 to 12. This can take values from 1 to 4. This can take values from 1 to 2. So this is how you create a card. This card will be having three values like this. First value is an integer, second value is an integer, third value is also an integer. So this is going to take 2 bytes. The second one is going to take 2 bytes. Third one is also going to take 2 bytes. So in total, 6 bytes. So this is how you access it. C.shape, C.face, etc. And this construct card, a deck of cards of 52 cards, means that this is going to give you 52 6-byte structures or 52 cards itself. So 52 cards of each card will be having this. So how much memory this entire variable deck is going to take? 52 into 6. So that's all about structure. Now let's have a look at pointers as well, which is also we also going to use pointers very often in our discussions. So just a review of pointers and dynamic memory allocation also. I think this was also covered in your second semester C programming course. First of all, let me ask why we require pointers, then how you declare it, initialize it, how you dereference it, how dynamic memory allocation. We'll see all these points. Why we require pointers? Pointers are not to store any values. Pointers are going to, that pointer variable is going to store address of another variable. So a pointer is normally used for accessing a variable in an indirect way, not in a direct way. So you'll be having a variable in your one position, a variable A. Now you create a variable P here, a pointer variable P, and this pointer variable is point to variable A. So you can access the variable A through this pointer. And then you ask why we require to access a variable indirectly. This is the answer. For accessing heap memory, we require pointers because the program code here, the code section, which is having a direct access to the stack segment only or the stack section only. So if all you would like to access the data inside the heap section, then you will have to create a pointer here, and the pointer can point to this so that you can access heap memory. we will see how to create how we can create heap memory, how we can store data in heap memory and all. Not only that, in order to access other resources means, let's say your program code would like to access the display, the monitor or the keyboard. Processing your program code would like to access it. That also will be accessed through a pointer. Let's say your program would like to access in disk data. Disk data means data stored in the form of files in secondary storage device. This would like to access the data. Then also you'll have to create a file pointer f or some other pointer, and the pointer can point to this. So accessing heap memory is one, then accessing other resources like secondary storage device file or monitor, keyboard, or any other resources other than memory, you will have to have pointer variables. Then another usage of pointers is for parameter passing, which I think you know about parameter passing and all. So that is pointers. Now let's see how we can declare, define, etc. pointers. So let's small code int a equal to 10. This is a direct variable declaration. So this will create a variable a in the stack section, and inside the data will be filled. Means inside that the data 10 will be filled, right? And it consumes 2 bytes. It's an integer variable. We're assuming that the current system which we have is the integer is taking 2 bytes of memory. This is how we declare a pointer variable in star p. It means that it is creating a variable p. So this variable also will be created in the stack section, but it is a pointer variable. It's not holding any data. It can hold the address of something else. So it can hold, for example, this variable a was created at some memory location. Let's say at memory location 111 or 1. Then inside this we will be storing that value. Inside this we can store that value, so that it is something like a reference to, or it is referring to this memory location. So this is how we give that assignment p equal to ampersand a. Ampersand a means it is saying that you can the address of the variable a is assigned to. You can access the data. Let's say this is how to print the data in a. So printf a, it is going to give you value 10. A is equal to 10. And what about printf percentage d star p? Star p means this is also going to access in the same. This also will print the value 10. But this is by accessing the variable a indirectly, without accessing a directly. We are accessing it through its address. So printf star p means it will be giving you the value 10. This is called dereferencing. So dereferencing a variable. Now let's talk about. So in this case, we have created a variable a in the stack section and another variable p that's also in the stack section. We have told that the variables are used for can be used for accessing the variables in the heap section or the memory in the heap section. Let's see an example. So this is a simple example of that. In star p means it will be creating a variable p here. So Now you allocate memory by using this. This is for memory allocation. You will have to include stdlib.h for this. So malloc, and inside that malloc function, you will have to give how much memory to allocate, the size of the memory. So this is an operator, size of integer. So in previous we have told that it is going to integer is going to take 2 bytes. So you can directly give 2 here instead of this. But let's say we have given that decision was given to the system. So system automatically will find out what is the size of integer, and that will be taken and it will be replied with 2. So it is going to reserve 52 integers space inside this P, and it will be returning an integer pointer. It will be typecasted integer pointer, and so this is converted as an integer pointer which is having 52 integers, and these 52 integers are here. So these 52 integers are stored here, and this data is the very first address of this section. So once you issue this message, this command malloc 52 in the size of int, it will be returning you the address of the first element of the 52 integers. So 52 memory location, sorry, 52 into 2, that is 52 into 2 bytes, that many memory locations, and that memory location will be stored here. So this is how you create or you utilize the space in heap, or this is how you dynamically allocate memory. So you create another way of creating an array. So instead of creating a static array in your stack section, this you have simply created an array of 52 elements dynamically. And while starting your program, you don't know the number of, let's say you don't know the number of elements that need to be stored in your array. So what you will do is you will create a pointer to an array, or a pointer to an integer. And whenever you get that number, let's say in the middle of the program, you got this number, you need to store 52 elements. And at that point of time, you create array of 52 elements and attach that to your variable. So that's all for today. A very brief introduction towards arrays, structures, and pointers. In the next class, we will discuss about the polynomial representation using arrays. Thank you.